Hi there. My name is Annabeth Olivia Mellon, and I'm the writer and director for the upcoming short film Overgrown. A dreamy take on the classic Rapunzel story, Overgrown will have a unique visual style, synthesizing classic fairy tale tropes and surreal depictions of human anxieties. The legendary Roger Deakins once said, "If there is any personality to your work, it is because you are the sum of all things that have influenced you in your life as it unfolds." To that end, let's take a look at some of my life's influences which are coming together to create the world of Overgrown. It would be wrong to begin with anything but this amazing adaptation of the Rapunzel story. Tangled is one of my absolute favorite movies, and it influences me in all areas of my life. Although my take on Rapunzel is very different than Disney's, there are a few visual pieces I'd like to borrow, such as the beautiful golden lighting. The blocking and shot composition of this particular scene are also influential. I chose to have my character Rose not wear shoes because of the way this scene uses Rapunzel's bare feet to create such a strong connection between her and the ground beneath her. Conversely, the other character in my story, Ella, is designed to be a total flip of the Mother Gothel character and the long-standing archetype which created her. Tangled, like so many fairy tales for hundreds of years, uses an evil elderly woman as a villain. Despite my love for the film, I wanted to use my story as a chance to change that narrative and create an older woman who provides love and support for the heroine. To borrow from another Disney film, Moana does a wonderful job of subverting the evil woman trope and creating a story which centers understanding between women. This scene between Moana and Taka is so visually powerful and so moving. Maui could only see Taka as a monster, but it took Moana, another woman, to see the true beauty behind all of the pain and lashing out. I would like to create a similar shot to this one in particular to capture the moment that Rose and Ella are finally able to connect and share intimacy. The work of Hayao Miyazaki is hugely influential on my visual and thematic tastes. He creates worlds that are fantastical and fairy tale-like, while keeping one light foot on the grounds of reality, creating a time that you can't quite place and a place that seems to transcend time. In my opinion, this is best exemplified by Howl's Moving Castle, which, like Moana, also subverts expectations regarding older women. Sophie's transformation into an old woman is representative of a societal fear of getting older. However, she quickly finds love and warmth and self-confidence in her new old form. Ella is a kind, lively woman who sees the value in her old age. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't influenced by Sophie's big hat when I was conceptualizing Ella. Central to Howl's Moving Castle is the unexpected connection and understanding between Howl and Sophie, two people who live on the fringes of society, and who, despite their differences, are able to see the other for who they truly are. The theme of reaching out to outsiders and finding their value despite their off-putting appearances is common among Miyazaki's films. A great example of this is Spirited Away, and Chihiro's warmth toward the cold but good-hearted No-Face. Similar to Chihiro, Ella isn't bothered by Rose's odd behavior. She only wants to be a friend. Another thing Miyazaki does well is create a sense of fear and anxiety through a character's movements. I love the blocking in this scene from Spirited Away, and I'd love to create something similar in the interactions between Rose and Ella. He uses sound design to build anxiety too, such as this scene with high winds from Howl's Moving Castle. I love the use of strong winds to create a building energy in a scene, and I want to utilize that tactic to represent Rose's growing anxiety. Finally entering the realm of live-action film, Matilda is another story that seems to transcend any specific time and place. Of course, I'm inspired by the story of Matilda and Miss Honey finding family with each other, but the most influential aspect of Matilda, to me, is the production design. I love the colors of this film, especially in Miss Honey's garden and the costumes. Miss Honey's color palette is such a unique combination of soft pastels and bright, lively shades. I love Mara Wilson's performance as Matilda. The style of acting is unlike many other depictions of young girls on screen. Mara is quiet, analyzing everything around her with a critical eye. She is weary of the evils of the adult world, but not jaded or cynical. Her whole face lights up when she's lost in a book, just as my reserved Rose feels wonder and joy when lost in her garden. Another strong, if atypical, performance from a young actress. As Hush Puppy, Quvenzhané Wallis says so much in her silent reactions to the chaos around her. Because Rose doesn't speak, it's important that her reactions convey this level of emotion. Beasts of the Southern Wild is another film that creates a strong sense of suspense and building anxiety, especially in its use of frantic handheld camera movements. I'd like to use similar camera movements to reflect Rose's view of the world, both her wonder and her fear. In a very different use of handheld motion, Sofia Coppola uses these gentle movements in the garden scene of Marie Antoinette to reflect Marie's carefree attitude. This garden scene is so beautiful, with soft golden light and slow-moving, delicate shots. Rose's garden should have a similar visual tone, and I hope to use some of the same kinds of flowers to create this sort of pastoral scene. I love the composition of many of these shots, especially the ones of Marie and her daughter. They look so small in the garden, but like they're meant to be there. I'd like to use similar composition when portraying Rose alone in her garden. In another of her films, The Virgin Suicides, Sofia Coppola combines similar lighting and a dreamy style of editing to create a more surreal version of Marie Antoinette's visual tone. I definitely want to include an element of surrealism to my film, as Rose experiences reality a little differently than most do. Weirdly, one of my favorite little details in Marie Antoinette was this beautiful nightgown. I've always loved vintage nightgowns, so I've never had any question about what kind of clothing Rose would be wearing. In 2003's Peter Pan, Wendy has on such an iconic nightgown, and I want Rose's to have a similar energy. Later in the film, when Wendy is living in Neverland, her nightgown becomes more wild, being combined with leaves, vines, and dirt. I love the juxtaposition of this lovely, delicate piece of clothing with the wild imagery of the dirt and vines. Similarly, Rose should appear in a way that is both lovely and feral. I don't consider the two Maleficent films themselves to be influences, but the scenes with Elle Fanning's character are shot in a way that creates the sort of visual tone I'm looking for. Much of that comes from the way the character is designed, but I think the composition does that too. With her beautifully curled, but just a little wild hair, and her place among the flowers, Elle Fanning's Sleeping Beauty truly looks as if she belongs to the fairies' world. Rose's world isn't always so fairy tale-like and clean. Her story with Ella comes to a head with a massive panic attack. Rose becomes so scared that she loses her grip on reality. This scene is pivotal to understanding who Rose is and how she operates, so the blocking, visual tone, and sound design are crucial to creating the right experience. Although we don't know Rose's backstory, she has the symptoms of someone with severe trauma, the kind that creates a debilitating panic disorder and makes it hard to feel like you're a part of the real world. In The Perks of Being a Wallflower, Charlie similarly does not have an explicit diagnosis, but deals with immense trauma. This scene represents the experiences of a trauma-based panic attack so well, and I want to lean into some of these techniques, such as the blocking and sound design. Panic attacks can be overdone or appear cliché on screen, and it's important to me that Rose's anxiety is treated with the respect and care it deserves.